Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. It's been a weird still I can't believe we still we're still stuck at home. But yeah, hopefully we'll get out soon enough and be able to see people in person and play some shows. But
That
we
would,
have to see what happens.
yeah, that would be awfully nice. So speaking of that, what are you guys doing? Are you rehearsing to be able to play shows? What's going on?
Um no. Right now we are just waiting to see if any of the proposed shows will actually materialize. So we've got a couple of things we're looking at in potentially I think the end of May into June, possibly August and September and October, but nothing's really hard and fast right now. So until we have any real confirmations of dates, there's no reason to rehearse. We live so far apart. I'm in Nashville, Corey's in Atlanta, Dale's in Savannah, Georgia, and then you got Johnny in Oklahoma City. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
yeah, it's quite an ordeal to get all of us here. Not so much for the two Georgia guys; they tend to like to make the drive when we all get together. But then Johnny flies. Um, so yeah, it's. I mean, the last time we were together really was for the shooting of the video. We just did like an acoustic recording of Bruised and Bloodied, and
Yes.
and that's basically when we were together last. So it's been sporadic. You get so used to seeing these guys 9, 10 months out of the year, and then to only see them, a few weeks out of a year is quite bizarre. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, with you guys being on the road as much as you are, at some point your family's like, "Isn't it time for you to go back out on the road?"
yeah, I think there's been so many stories and about divorces and breakups and all those kinds of things, and I mean, what's interesting though is I think for a lot of us, my wife works from home and I work from home. So when I'm home, we were always around each other anyway. So it hasn't been like a massive adjustment, like, oh my God, get out of my face. Um, I'm not used to you being home all day or whatever the case may be. So I think that's kind of helped us. I mean, everybody's, there's definitely been ups and downs and ebbs and flows as far as like just basically mental health goes. But um, I think that's kind of helped us a bit because we're coming out the other side of, what the major hurdles have been, and I think we we were pretty good. So we did have a bit of an advantage in that sense. But I've heard about so many people that, and for example, I have for reasons that are best probably not talked about. I have a lawyer as well who a friend who deals with divorce law, and she said it's been her busiest year ever, and
I
that
have
was
heard
2020.
that.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, hey, good for you, but not so much for everyone else, I guess.
Right? Well, then you wanna high five your wife, like, "We're awesome because
Mhm.
we made it through this and we still like each other."
I tell you what, she's a saint because because it's tough. When you take four guys, and look, and I think all of our wives collectively are pretty saintly at this point because you take four guys who are basically grown man babies and really averse to responsibilities. But then you're home and you're doing all the domestic dad stuff and all that kind of thing. But I think that just the ebbs, like the ups and downs, we've certainly, you know, when you get a guy like Dale, who's the happiest go luckiest guy on the planet, if he starts talking about, man, I'm just depressed, you know that it's a real thing, right? So I think that I don't know what his looks like or Corey's or Johnny's looks like, but I think mine is I'm miserable. So, and it's it's that kind of miserable where you don't want to leave the house. You sometimes don't even get out. You don't shower for a week because it's like, what? Why would you do that and waste 15 minutes of your day? Um, and it's so I think in that sense, she's always kind of more of an optimist and sort of sees the best in people and the best in the world. And I sort of lean a little bit opposite end of the spectrum to her on that, but yeah, so she's kind of been carrying us through this, I think, because we had a 3-year-old at home she's high energy. She's just
Oh, yeah.
she wants only our attention all the time. In fact, she was just starting to really speak at the beginning of the lockdown. And so we went in, we were like, cool, this is going to be 2 weeks. Let's just potty train her and get this out of the way. So we did it. We nailed it. She was 3 days in and she was completely potty trained. So like, oh, cool. Now what do we do? You spend a week playing, building things on the ground, blocks and all this kind of stuff. Then now it's a month gone by. You're like, oh man, we need something else to do. So then you start looking on Amazon, and apparently everybody else already realized that puzzles was the way to go. So then there's no puzzles anywhere. So I'm like, okay, but we found a few here and there, probably not. They weren't even good things to look at. It was just something to do, right? It wasn't cool art. It wasn't a cool picture. It was just put blocks in spot. Don't think for an hour. And then that was another month. So now it's 2 months. We're like, oh, dude, what are we gonna do now? And so it's just been, it just kind of just keeps the goalpost keeps moving, and that side of it is just, you know, it's so disheartening because there's things we could do. Sure, there's things we can all do that we can pass the time. We can, you know, find a different creative outlet or whatever coping mechanism you come up with. But that whole line of these are essential and these are not essential, that sort of thing, it sort of climbs into your subconscious. It sneaks its way in there, and then you spend every day going, well, I guess I just don't count. You know, so it's like, so you're having this existential crisis going, well, okay, so you can go to Walmart. That's cool. And there can be thousands of people. And it's cool. That's fine. You can go to Target. That's cool. But God forbid you do a rock show.
Yes. Don't do that.
You know what I mean? Because, and for people that want to, God forbid they go to their churches or whatever. But no. These these global multi-corporations that pay, well, we don't know how much tax they pay, but we're assuming they're paying their taxes. They get to continue on as usual, business as usual, right?
Right.
And there's no wrongdoing there. But man, you guys in those bands, you ruffians, you filth, we'll let you know when it's good to get to come out of and have your day in the sun again. So that's in a nutshell, that's kind of how I've been home now for almost 2.5 years since we came off the road, did the album. We're supposed to be on tour again. So it's the longest time I've been home in my adult life as a musician. So that's been kind of cool. What I find, though, interestingly enough, is that it's almost becoming a thing of, okay, well, do I really want to go on tour again? You know what I mean? It's like, do I really want to go on tour for 3 to 6 months at a time and then only come home?
Shaun.
You know what I mean? No. So how we want to tour in the future is something that looks a lot more like the country music world of touring, where they do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they're home by Sunday, right? And that's kind of the new approach we're going to take, because I mean, all of us have got kids, with the exception of Dale. But you know, we all have families, and we've been around each other for so long now. You kind of, and I fit in here now, because if when you leave for a month, you come back, it's like, well, okay, what's changed now? So we don't do that anymore. This is the new thing. So you can't keep up with all the changing times, and oftentimes it would feel like one of the biggest cons of coming home after saying three months of being gone or whatever is you come home and you really don't know how this little machine runs, because it's had to run without you for so long. Now I've just made it myself super important and integral to this thing. So if I do leave, everyone's going to be super sad about it. But it's been nice to sort of be part of the little unit, the little engine that chugs along here. But I do miss touring. I think certainly I can say that with a great deal of confidence, as far as when we got together to do the Bruised and Bloodied video. It was the first time we'd been in a room really sort of pretend playing.
Sure.
But it felt like we were playing. So, and there was this real, I mean, all of us were grinning from ear to ear. All of us had a sort of a spring in our steps for, I mean, I'd say easily for a week or two afterwards, because it was like this whole, I was like, oh, that's what it used to feel like.
Yeah.
But this is 4 of us in a room to a guy with a camera. But it was that we sort of got to recreate that sensation in a sense. And I think it's so bizarre understanding that's such a big missing piece. And the closest I've come to experiencing that again was my mother-in-law gave me this vest for Christmas or my birthday, I think. And basically what it is it's a video gaming vest that you put on, and it gives you haptic feedback. So if you're playing a shooter, if you get shot, the thing will vibrate. So you feel it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So I go, cool. Let me try this out. And I threw it on, and I plugged in my phone, and I pulled up our new album, and I started the first song, and the whole thing is just going crazy. But it felt so. It was like, it was such an emotional breakdown kind of epiphany moment, because it was really loud in my headphones. it felt like I was on stage because I could feel the kick drum, I could feel the bass, the
Right.
guitars, and everything. So it was I mean, and I've got my eyes closed on a couch, like, tears streaming down my cheeks because it's like it's both joy and extreme sadness at the same time. But it was the closest I'd come. I think I broke down so heavily because that was in December. So, that's a year. That's more than 2 years of really playing, except for one show we played in October of 2019. So we can kind of, I don't remember it. It wasn't, well, let's just call it well over a year of not playing. And that was, another year before that we were not playing. So this compound effect of not having been on stage. And it was this really incredibly powerful moment. And the only thing I can attribute it to is that I was feeling it at the same time as hearing it. Because when you listen to music, sure, everybody wants to have a room with the big old speakers. Yeah, it wouldn't be, you blow your brains out or your ears out if you had big speakers creating that sort of that level of vibration.
Oh yeah.
But it was just really powerful moment, and I know that when we get to do that again, it's going to be this incredible I don't know, like we find our spirits and our drive for it again, because it's there's much like anything else. If you stop doing it for a while, you forget how to do it. It's like it's sometimes like riding a bicycle, but it's like if you stop speaking a language, you start losing words, right? And you start and I grew up speaking Afrikaans, and I can still speak it, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. And I've lost confidence in the way I can speak it because I haven't put in enough practice, or I don't have the conversation on a daily basis. But so I think the initial thing is going to be this really, really sort of nerve-wracking experience, because we don't really, do we still know what we're doing? Do we still, we still have a place here? Yeah. Does anyone even care? But I think that it's going to be one of those, like, I think the first show for any band with an audience is going to be an incredibly powerful experience, because
for everybody, for the audience, for the band,
exactly. And it's going to be this memory that you're going to make, I think, that will last, and you'll tell your younger generations about this insanity we lived through, and then there was this moment where the floodgates just broke open. So I'm excited for that part.
Absolutely.
I think it's just it's going to be unfortunately it doesn't. It's going to be a powerful experience, but I wish it had come around in a different way. You know what I mean? It didn't involve the planet being shut down.
Yeah, for a year, when it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
So I need to say a huge congratulations, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame exhibit. What? That is awesome.
It's crazy, right? I mean, look, it's one of those things where our label came to us and said, "Hey, so the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wants to do something." I was like, "No, they don't. You guys are kidding. I mean, why us?" But it's really an honor. It's kind of the kind of thing where we're going to take a road trip up there. I think we're all going to go as the band and the families and everything. And again, we'll just drive in different cars so we don't breathe on each other. But we want to go and do it, have an experience of it, because I've only been there twice in the past, and I remember it's this really sort of, I mean, it's a really obviously historic, but it's this powerful place to be in, especially if you are in music or love music or a fan of it. And so we're in this, we're in this little display area, which I haven't seen. I don't know where it is, but it doesn't matter where it is. It's almost like an undeserved honor in a sense, but it's something that I'm really proud of, because I honestly don't care about things like awards and being at any of these televised music awards where rock doesn't exist apparently. None of that stuff matters to me, and it's very important to other people, and it's very important to have this little thing you can put on your shelf and show off when friends come over. But my thing always was I wanted to leave something behind when I died as a musician, and leave the music behind, leave the words behind.
Yeah.
And this display is up for a year. It's really, again, it's a massive honor to be part of it. I still don't know how or why it happened. I know that magically enough, that sweater, I'd given it to my wife. It was in her closet, so we found that one. The guitar I've had forever, because it was the last one I had of 3 that was given to me. So it's these. Well, I wouldn't say these were like things throughout our career that were moments that I thought were good ones to put in that case. And there's some lyrics in there, and there's some set lists and stuff. So it's it's a trip. I mean, it's one of those things again where we spent a really long time with a management company. In fact, a few management companies in a row. It would make a lot of promises that never came to fruition. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was always like, and you always get excited, and then you just get let down, and you get your hopes up, and then your dreams get crushed. And it was just this endless cycle of, man, why don't you guys just stop promising something?
Yeah.
And so you get to the point where, unfortunately, your reflexive reaction is to say, well, yeah, cool, whatever. Well, when it happens, it'll happen. And in this case, it actually did happen, and it still doesn't feel real. It still doesn't feel like. I still feel like there's a camera somewhere and someone's just
Right.
like giggling behind their hands, going, idiots. But yeah, it's a huge honor, and I believe, and we've got new management now who are great, and they've been talking to the rock and roll hall people, and they're really excited that we're really excited. So it's this whole big sort of mutual admiration, respecting that's going on right now, which is really cool. So I'm proud of it. I certainly know there's a couple other bands out there that are pretty pissed about it or don't know why it's not their band. Doesn't really matter to me. It's not the competition side of it. I'm really happy about it. It's hopefully this is the first step in what every band hopes to accomplish at some point, is to be in there permanently.
Sure, absolutely.
So maybe this will be a good way to sort of like dip our toe into what, maybe 20, 30 years down the line could become something that would be more permanent, because that's such a small group of bands and musicians that get to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying we deserve it. I'm not saying it's going to happen or not, but I will certainly enjoy this little tiny slice of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame while we have it.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you, I heard everything you just said, but in what I just read saying that you guys were going to be part of this exhibit, it said, and I quote, Seether is one of the most successful hard rock bands in the world.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's so funny. We've been doing a lot of introspective looking at the band over the past, I'd say probably there's just more recently this year, right? And
Yeah.
we've really sort of, because we got new management, and we were getting familiar with everybody, and we kind of digging into the thing, and we've always had this weird sort of problem that we come up against, where it's people would know the song but they don't know it's the band, or they know the band but they don't know this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this weird thing. But when you put the two together, and the pieces fit, and you go, oh wow, okay, cool. We've had we've had as many successful songs at radio as some much bigger bands that you know of.
Yeah.
And certainly much more lauded bands, and we've just, I've always been, I'm comfortable being the black sheep of the family. I'm comfortable being, for the most part, the guy that sits in the dark corner of the bar, or is not the loudest person in the room. So that's always kind of where we felt we fit in, is to not fit in, and you fit in for a while, and then bands sort of move off in a different direction. They start thinking that they're a lot cooler than they are. Their heads get a little bit bigger, and so they just become the kind of people you don't want to hang out with anymore. And
Right.
I've never, we've got rid of band members, we've got rid of crew members, anybody that thinks that they are better than or cooler than anybody else. It just doesn't sit well with us. And so
Right.
that's kind of been our ethos. And anyway, so we're going through this whole history of the band, and even for me, I'm like, holy cow, because I don't pay attention to how many, let's go argue how many number ones you had, how many top fives you had, how many in total you've had, how many spins. You start looking at stuff like how many streams we get on the platforms. It's insane, that the numbers that we're pulling. And you look at the followings that we have on all these different platforms, and we kind of just like, I don't know. There's just been the disconnect forever, and we're trying to figure out how to make that connection. And I think because it's going to be such a heavily digital year, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of start putting the pieces together, to really, to really sort of get the information out, because it would be, they're showing me this information, all the stuff we've achieved in our careers, and what we've done to date. And it doesn't look real. It looks like somebody else's track record. It looks like something that somebody else has been doing, and but it's us, I'm proud that we're still doing it after 20 years of hard work and really dedication. And I mean, so again, having things like the recognition from the Hall of Fame, that's killer, because that's the stuff that matters to me. It's not that, that it's I'm not like build a monument to me, but no, I don't think, I don't need my statue in my hometown, but it's that particular setting is so specific in its purpose, and that's where, that's what my life is. And
Sure.
you realize, and so then again, the whole thing comes around full circle, because as soon as we couldn't do our lives and what makes our livelihoods and what makes us happy, we went into crippling depression, and now we're trying to come out the other side of it and figure out ways to stay positive and active, and really, again, engage with fans.
Right.
So yeah, we've achieved a lot, and that's the thing is, it's just we always get written off as like it feels like we get written off a lot as just don't fit in. We've never really had we've never had a single magazine cover when other bands that don't even exist anymore and had a single the hottest thing for the 6 months. We've never had major sort of journalistic exposure, because I guess maybe we just aren't very cool, and that's fine too. But again, yeah, this is like, it's just one of those sort of, it's an affirmation to me and to the other guys that what we do means something to somebody. You know what I mean? And that's really what it comes down to. Obviously means a lot to me, what I do, and what the songs mean, and how they help me cope. But when you have that be recognized for what it is, and it's not like, it's not like this over the top sort of bloviated celebration with fireworks. It's just like it feels like it's a nice little tip of the cap or a nod to us, and that's really what it is. It's kind of a, we're playing it low key because we don't want to be like
we don't want to get too excited.
We don't want to be giddy about it, but yeah, it's a really awesome experience right now.
Well, that's awesome. I know we're running out of time. I've got one more question for you. Your albums, Vis Pacem and Bellum, obviously came out last year. So you haven't been able to tour around it. Is there a particular song on that album that you are just most looking forward to playing live?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the heavier stuff is always fun to play live, especially when you've got a bunch of crap you need to get off your chest and all this tension you need to release. But one of my favorites on that is Liar, and it's just it's that one, or Failure actually is the other one. Those are just two songs that were pretty early on in the songwriting process and kind of came together a lot earlier, but then when it came to writing the lyrics, became really, really, really personal, I guess, and really far more vulnerable in a sense. So but Failure is, I think, one of my favorites. And obviously when we get to play the singles, that's fun too, because that's what usually happens is you go out and you start touring a month before the album comes out. You start touring 6 weeks before. So the single's basically been on the radio for a couple of days.
Yeah.
You play it and the audience is just like flat. Like, you need more time for this one. I don't know how I feel about this one right now. So you go, okay, cool, fine. Take your time. See you in 6 months.
You're going to love it.
Yeah. So that's going to be kind of the change there as well, is that when we finally do get to play again, we can add 3, maybe 4 songs to the set list that people have never seen us play, but they are very familiar with. So yeah, that's going to be fun. I mean, geez, at this point, just getting up there and playing, I don't know, Doobie Brothers covers would be fun. It's just, I'd even go watch an acid jazz band right now.
I'm with you.
But but the thing is, having said that, in Nashville, it's been pretty good. We haven't, we talk about the strictness of all the lockdowns and the restrictions, but really Nashville, I live in a suburb south of Nashville, so we've got a different mayor and we've got a different sort of set of rules, and it really hasn't been that bad. It's different stores that require you to put on masks and stuff, but downtown Davidson County, Nashville, that was pretty ruled with pretty much an iron fist for a while, and I think even now, you may or may not, it might be over by now, but up until about as recently as a month or two ago, you were getting fined if you weren't wearing a mask on Broadway, and you or they were handing them out under penalty of a fine. But it really kind of seems like it's gone back to normal down there, and I don't go up there. I don't go to Nashville proper much. I don't really have much reason to, and I really am not a tourist, so I don't need to be on Broadway where all that are. But yeah, so it's kind of, I don't think we've really experienced the same kind of horror story level of say a Michigan or a California, where I know people from both states, or New York or New Jersey. You name one of these states where it's just been like it's been like this, almost like, why can't, again, you can go to Target, you can go to Walmart, but you can't go to gym. I mean, come on. Because God forbid that in a pandemic, if you let your body go to hell, then you might get more chance of getting sick. But you want to stay safe and healthy, man. It's I don't know. But for us, at least, and I guess for me as well, I'm always been kind of a hermit anyway. So to be at home for prolonged periods of time and not really going out and seeing other people, it suits me fine, because more often than not, somebody tries to kill me with their vehicle, and I'm just going to a store. I mean, somebody, somebody just rode off. In fact, here's a true story, just to prove my point. This very sweet little teenage girl in the neighborhood, and her parents came over, and they were mortified. But she was driving by our house, and out front was Dale's pickup truck was parked in the road. Okay. And the next thing is just boom, and she had totaled both vehicles. And you go, okay, well, what were you doing? Right. So we assume, look, and she's very sweet, and the parents are sweet. So obviously, and nobody knows who I'm talking about except for them. But we assume that she was texting, right? And so and that's the thing. And that's the thing. So Dale said next time he's definitely parking in the driveway. But, so he is. It's just that's kind of that's why I don't like to leave. And then it comes to my house. It's going to happen regardless. If I don't leave, it's going to come to my damn house anyway.
Right. You may as well go out.
But we also find that a lot of the time, Tennessee's great. I like it for many reasons. But you often get these stuck up. You get a lot of stuck up people moving to these neighborhoods now from other states and whatever. Sure. And maybe a little bit more, I don't know. But when they see tattoos and things, they go, a lot of the people that are around us, like for example, my daughter goes to daycare because she's got this really killer little place where she learns Spanish and yoga and all this other stuff. Right. But most of the parents that pull up there are wearing cowboy boots and they are ranch like farmers. And so I pull up there, and my wife for that fact too, because we both have tattoos. We kind of stand out a little bit like sore thumbs. So we try to be part of these family experiences, but nobody wants to talk to us. So we end up we end up standing at daycare like these two complete sad sack losers talking to ourselves and our kid, and nobody hangs out with us. But, that's why I don't like to leave the house.
Well, I think it might just be time for you to go back on tour. That's what
I know, right? I'm losing my mind.
Well, I can tell you, I am super excited to see you guys play the new album live. Dead and Done. I am all about it. Yeah. That song, I listen to it loud. It makes me happy. I'm hoping to hear that one live at some time in the near future.
That one seems to me like the best way to start the shows from now on. Just come out swinging with that song.
Oh heck yeah! I'm all about it.
That's Corey's favorite song too. So that may very well become the opener for at least for a little while. Once we get back out on the road.
I love it. I mean, it's one you feel through your whole body.
That's the one I put on. Strangely enough, when I put on that haptic feedback vest.
Oh yeah.
With that song, so maybe I could have eased myself in with something acoustic, I guess. But because I played that song, I was like, holy cow! All of that, like that, just that overwhelming rush of emotion happened. So yeah, I'm definitely playing that song live.
Guaranteed. Yeah. Well, I look forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys live again. I hope it is sooner rather than later. And congrats again on a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame exhibit. It's awesome.
Thank you. And we appreciate your support.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Shaun.